write short notes on input buffering. Input buffering, where we are identifying the input buffering, where we can require during the lexical analysis phase. The lexical analyzer is scanning all characters from the given program file, left to right, one by one character by another character. It is till it is identifying a token. It continues the reading. Whenever it is identifying a token, it returns the token information to the symbol table. Then it is going for the discovering the next token. Okay, next token is nothing but a keyword or identifier or any other thing. Let's see. But only thing is, whenever we are scanning the input program, it is the question is when to stop, when to finalize. The particular sequence of characters are can be recognized as token. Okay. Say for example, some keywords like else if. That words can be else part. Okay. Itself we can identify as a token, or together else and if without any space we can identify a token. The only thing is we need to recognize till what we need to scan the particular characters and recognize the particular tokens. Okay, or how many characters we need to scan till finalizing the particular token. That is the question. Okay, so the reading the characters one by one, it is not sufficient. Okay, similarly, reading the character one by one, and also we need to identify what is the leftmost character and what is the rightmost character. Based on the leftmost character and rightmost character, then only we are finalizing what is the particular string is. Okay, so lexical analyzer scans the characters of the source program one at a time to discover tokens. However, many characters beyond the next token has to be examined before the next token itself can be determined. Okay, that is the one of the issue. Okay, for this reason, it is desirable for the lexical analyzer to read input from the input buffer. It is not the thing simply reading one by character, another character. Okay, from the file. If you are going simply reading character by character, we are missing what is the previous characters. That is the reason. First of all, we are bringing the characters into the input buffer. Using the input buffer, we can identify the leftmost position and rightmost positions. Okay, then we can identify what is the character in between the leftmost position and rightmost position. Okay, then we can call completely that is a specific token, right? So in order to keep the previous history and future characters also, okay, so that we can identify instead of simply moving character by character to the end of the file, we need to identify, we need to keep for example, the while statement. W is the first character of the while keyword or while token. W is the first character. That E is the last character till the particular whatever the characters required in between, we need to maintain. So maintaining those particular characters will be easy in maintaining the buffers. So that buffer we are calling as input buffer. The input buffer based on the available keywords or identifiers as per the norms. Okay, what can be the maximum size of a particular the particular thing? We can maintain a input buffer maybe up to 100 characters. Up to 100 characters. Generally, no keyword or identifier or procedure names or anything. It is not going to be more than 100 characters. Okay, like that. So the thing is for this particular buffer, one character marks beginning of the token being discovered, and we are also maintaining one more pointer, also called as look ahead pointer. Okay, that means rightmost pointer which goes forward. Okay, can scan ahead of the beginning pointer, can scan ahead of the beginning pointer until token is discovered. So what is the meaning of this particular thing? In order to identify the tokens, okay, lexical analyzer simply reading a character by character from the input and identifying the token. But we need to identify the token. A token is nothing but set of characters. Set of characters is nothing but a string. For the particular string, we need to identify what is the starting character and what is the ending character. So in order to identify what is the starting character, what is the ending character, what is the in-between characters, we are maintaining all the characters in a buffer until you identify a meaningful string, okay, that we are identifying using the input buffer. For the input buffer can be a size of 100 characters, and this particular input buffer is having 2 pointers. One pointer is showing the starting character of the lexeme or token, and we are identifying a look forward a pointer. It is our look ahead pointer. This particular look ahead pointer is moving in the forward direction, where the beginning lexeme beginning character pointer will be stayed till you are identifying the complete token. Okay, so the leftmost pointer will be stayed until the token is identified. We are moving the look ahead pointer in the forward direction only. Be careful in the forward direction till you are finalizing a token. Okay, right. So we view the position of each pointer as being between the character last read and the character next to be read. Okay, we can view the position of the pointers as being last read character, the character to be next read. Okay, in practice, that means we are having the various buffering schemes. Okay, we can use different conventions. Be careful, no problem. Either a pointer is at the symbol last read, or a symbol it is ready to read. It can be anything, either last read character, or the pointer can show at the position where we are going to read the next character, where you are going to read the next character. Okay, these 2 pointers, that pointer can be show last read position or pointer to be read next character. Okay, right. But only thing is we are identifying uh, the distance which the look ahead pointer may have to travel past the actual token may be large. Okay, because still we are identifying this particular thing. Say for example, you are having a small statement declare in brackets argument 1, argument 2, argument n. But only thing is we need to know say for example, okay, we don't know whether the declare is a keyword or array name or the or a function name. Okay, until unless we are identifying, we are considering the next input, we can't know whether the declare is a keyword or it is a function name. Okay, till our array name, till we are reaching the last position. Okay, so whatever the case it is, that particular identification or token ends only at the second end of the particular token. We need to identify first end of the particular token, that means start character, second end of the token, nothing but the last character. Okay, that is we need to identify. Okay, uh, so if the look ahead pointer travels beyond the buffer of, okay, in which it begins, the other half must be loaded with the next characters from the source file. What is the thing here is, so for example, we consumed, this is the tokens, okay, this is input buffer. Generally, these pointers are moving from left to right, okay, both the left side pointer and right side pointer. Say for example, the begin character also, this is 100 characters we assumed, okay. When you are this begin character is already crossed 50 characters and it is coming into the 51 character, what it means, the tokens whatever, the characters whatever we loaded previously in the input buffer, we already finished the first half, we already finished the first half. We are considering the characters in the second of the buffer. This input buffer is nothing but array. Be careful, it is nothing like array. Okay, so when you are reading the characters in the second half of the input buffer in this particular scheme, what that means, we already finished the characters in the first half, we are already finished the characters in the first half. We can reload, we can replace the previous characters with the next set of characters. Okay, and what it means, during the time of considering the characters for the tokens in the second half of the buffer, it means we already finished the reading of the first half characters. We can reload this first half with new characters, the characters after this second half. Okay. Similarly, when we have finished this particular thing, when you are entering into the first half of the this buffer scheme, we can replace the second half of the characters with the new characters. That is the way, continuously without waiting to refresh this buffer. This buffer reading scheme can be continued. The buffer reading scheme can be continued. Okay. So what it means, whenever we are reading the input buffers, okay, if you are entering into the second half, first half can be replaced with the new characters. If you are reading the characters in the first half, second half can be replaced with the new characters. Okay. So whatever the convention, we can adopt any convention. Okay, either the pointer is at the symbol last read or symbol is to ready to read. Okay, and based on it we can refresh the first half of the this one or second half of the input buffer. But only thing is we are continuously monitoring the input buffer. Okay, right. Since the buffer shown in the figure in the previously, whatever it may be, okay, based on the two parts, okay, two parts, okay. Size limit is an implicit constant. The size limit is implicit constant. That means 100 characters. In the 100 characters also generally we are making into the 50. Okay. Generally whatever the data size restrictions we are using in general is 32 characters at most. Okay, but whatever it may be. Okay, the size limited size is there and implicit constant on how much we can look ahead, on how much we can look ahead can be used before next token is discovered. We can based on the requirements we can change that particular thing. So in the above example, if the look ahead travel to the left half and all the way through the left half to the middle, we cannot reload the right half. Okay, we cannot reload the right half because maybe the last characters, okay, that had not been grouped into the tokens. Okay, what is the problem here? In the first half, okay, in the first half, whenever we are completing the first half, okay, it is 50 characters. Maybe the function is crossing, the particular function is crossing, maybe the declare statement in brackets, argument. If it is crossed to 50, but we are not finished with identifying it as a token, generally what is happening whenever we are entering into the right half, generally whenever we are entering into the right half, we are replacing the left half characters. Okay, sometimes it may not be possible because we are not finalized, we are not finished, we are not grouped into the token, we cannot replace the left half, then we need to identify any other scheme. Okay, right. So only thing is we can make the buffer larger. Okay, if you choose to use under buffering scheme, but we cannot ignore the fact that overhead is limited. We cannot ignore the overhead is limited. If you are increasing the buffer size, it may once again it has to look ahead pointer has to move to the more number of characters. Okay, that is one more overhead. Okay, so it is one more overhead. What is the thing here? Here the point. Whenever we are finishing the left half characters and entering into the right half of the input buffer, we are replacing the left half of the buffer. Whenever we are in the first half of the buffer, we are replacing the characters in the right half of the buffers. But only thing is, whenever we are replacing the characters either in the left half or right half of the side operation, the previous characters, whatever we are scanning, it may not finish. It may not finish. If it is not finished and entering into the other half, then it may be small problem in the input buffers. Okay. The only thing is, before concluding this particular thing, a buffer is divided into two n character offs. Okay, the figure shown earlier. Each buffer is of the same size n, and n is usually of the number of characters of one block. It can be a block size can be 1024 characters, or it can be 4096 characters based on the buffer allocation schemes we are using in the memory management. Okay, using one system read command, we can read n characters into the buffer. Using the read command, all n characters can be read into the input buffer. Okay, if fewer than the n characters remaining in the input file, if fewer characters are remaining in the input file, what happens until you are reaching the end of the particular file, then we are identifying a special character as end of file. EOF marks the end of the source file, marks the end of the source file. Okay, the two pointers whatever we are using the in particular scheme, one is lexeme beginning, other is forward. One is lexeme beginning, other is the pointer. The lexeme beginning marks the beginning of the current lexeme or token whose extent we are attempting to determine. The pointer forward scans ahead until a pattern match is found. Okay, until a pattern match is found. We are having the various pattern matching algorithms. Don't worry about particular thing. The particular thing is entirely a different subject itself. Okay, pattern matching is itself is a subject. Okay, right. Once the next lexeme is determined, forward is set to the character at its right end. Once the lexeme is determined, the forward is set to the character at its right end. Okay, the string of characters between the two pointers is the current lexeme. The string of characters between the two pointers is the current lexeme. After the lexeme is recorded as an attribute value of a token returned to the parser, lexeme beginning is set to the characters. Lexeme beginning is set to the character immediately after the lexeme just found. Okay, immediately after the right side of the lexeme that we have found. Okay, right. That is the first half of the question number 2. Second part of the question number 2 is explain the role of the lexical analyzer in detail. Explain the role of the lexical analyzer in detail. Okay, right. So that is the first. Previous input buffering is for the 7 marks. The remaining 7 marks is for the next question. Explain the role of the lexical analyzer in detail. Okay, right. What is the lexical analyzer? Lexical analyzer is the first phase of the compiler. Lexical analysis is called linear analysis or scanning. Lexical analysis is also called as linear analysis or scanning. In this phase, the stream of characters making up the source program is read from left to right and grouped into tokens that are sequences of the characters having a collective meaning. Having a collective meaning. What it is saying? Once again, in this particular phase, stream of characters making up the source program is read from left to right and groups into tokens that are sequences of characters having a collective meaning. So in the particular diagram, we are giving the source program to as input to the lexical analyzer. The lexical analyzer is reading characters one by one and identifying the tokens. The tokens are passed to the parser. When the parser reads the token and it whenever it asks to get the next token, once again the lexical analyzer generates one more token and passes it to the parser. So these two activities are continuous activities till end. Okay, and also whenever lexical analyzer is identifying any particular information, a token, the token is being saved in the symbol table. That information once again used for the next operations for the by the parsers or other phases. Okay, this is the small diagram. Okay, next. What is the thing here? Once again, the part of the explanation. Upon receiving the get next token command from the parser, the lexical analyzer reads input characters until it is identifying the next token. The lexical analyzer returns to the parser representation for the token it has found. Okay, the analyzer returns to the parser representation for the token it has found. The representation will be an integer code. The representation may be an integer code. If the token is simple construct like parenthesis, okay, that means left parenthesis, right parenthesis, commas or columns. It may give the standard integer code also. Lexical analyzer may also perform certain secondary tasks such as user interfaces. One such task is stripping out the source program, the commands, comments, okay, and the white spaces in the form of blanks, tabs, new line characters. Okay, so using these operations, we are going to perform one lab experiment also in our as part of the lab. Okay, right. So it is reading, and also at the same time, this lexical analyzer, what it is doing, it is stripping the continuous white spaces, because the white space is not having any meaning. Only the white spaces separates two tokens. Okay, the white spaces is nothing but it may be the blank, it may be a tab, it may be a new line, it may be a blank, it may be a tab, it may be a new line characters. Okay, these will not be executed compiled during the compilation. Be careful. Another is it may be correlating error message from the compiler. It may have the correlating error message from the compiler with the source program. Okay. Now once again we identify what is the meaning of token lexeme pattern. A token is the sequence of characters that can be treated as single logical entity. The typical tokens are identifiers, keywords, operators, special symbols, and constants. And also we see what is the meaning of pattern. A set of strings in the input for which the same token is produced as output. We can call it as a similar patterns, if statement, while statement, whereas this set of strings is described by a rule called pattern associated with the token. Similarly, we are having one more representation called as lexeme. Lexeme is a sequence of characters in the source program that is matched by the pattern for a token. That is a sequence of characters in the source program that is matched by a pattern. All these are almost synonyms. We can nothing else. Okay, this is the small answer related to the 2b. This is the 2b. Okay, today we'll see shortly one more question, third question. For a regular expression, A oblique B star, okay, ABB is the regular expression. For this regular expression, we need to draw NFA, and we need to draw DFA for the NFA, and also we need to write a small algorithm to minimize the DFA. Because be careful, we need to carefully identify the answer for this particular thing. Otherwise, each individually, everything itself is a big question. Okay, but this everything is becoming a 14 marks question. During the 14 marks question also, we can't give more than 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, within the 30 to 35 minutes, we need to write answer for this above thing. But this expression is a standard expression we are getting in the examination. Okay. So first of all, we need to start. We can't start as we are can't straight away write the NFA diagram. We may not get the full marks. First, we are starting. What is the rule for identifying this regular expression? What it is indicating? It may be on epsilon transition. Also, it may reach A, or after reading value character A, we can reach the second A. After reading B also, from the starting, we can reach A. So we are having the three alternatives as part of the first one. As part of the first character of the regular expression, we can proceed based on the epsilon, we can proceed based on A, we can proceed based on B. Okay, that we are representing as part of the answer. So the first part is the NFA for the single character regular expression for epsilon or A or B. We are representing this particular small diagram. Then we know we are having the NFA for the union of A and B, that A or okay, B, okay, is constructed from the individual NFA using the epsilon transition, okay, a rule. and remove the individual accepting states with the whatever we shown previously and replace with the overall accepting state, and the representation is this one. Okay, individual previously we represented using a, b, or epsilon also. Okay, the same thing now we are going to represent in this fashion. Okay, first of all we are representing a or b. That means the transition can be on a or transition can be on b to the final state. Okay, right. After including the epsilon also, the NFA becomes this diagram. Okay, what is this on epsilon? It is moving from the state 0 to state 7, or if it is having a, it is moving on epsilon, it can come to the 1. From 1 it is going to the for the 2 state 2 for value a, or it can go on the epsilon itself for to state 4 for b. Similarly, we are having a star for A or B also, so it can be repeated a number of times, or it can move to the final state 7. That we are representing this representation also to A or B star. Okay, right. So what is the next? We are identifying this A or B and star is already over. Then we need to concatenate what is the state representation for ABB. After this particular state 7, we can reach state 8 on input A, and from input state 8 to state 9 we are reaching on B. From 9 we are reaching 10 on B. Okay, if anything goes wrong in between, it has to move back to the start state once again. Okay, right. This is the final NFA that for the regular expression ARB star ABB. So first part is over. What are the total number of things here? For this particular regular expression, first we need to represent NFA, then we need to represent DFA for the same NFA, then we need to write small steps or algorithm how to minimize a given DFA, DFA. Okay, right. So NFA part is over. Then you can directly obtain this NFA, DFA for the previous NFA. Okay. For it to identify the as part of the question, we are minimizing the answer also. So how we are obtaining the DFA for the given NFA? We are having the two small statements. We have an input for the set of n states. We recognize as output a set of d states in DFA. In NFA, you may have a number of states, whereas in DFA, we are having d number of states. Okay, right. But only thing is, what is the relationship between the states in the NFA and what is the states in the DFA? Theoretically, an NFA with n states, can be generated a DFA with 2 n states, okay, or 2 power n states, frankly, okay. So that thing is based on this particular thing. Once again, we can directly, you can draw this DFA diagram, right? This is the second part of the answer, DFA diagram, right? Next, we need to identify once again how to minimize DFA state. In the DFA, we are having the so many states. Once again, it is increasing the DFA statements for all the possibilities. But only what is the difference between NFA and DFA? NFA on the same input, it can have more than one number of states. On same value, it can reach on more than one state in the NFA, whereas in the DFA, on a single input, we can reach only one output state. Okay, that is the fundamental difference. But because when you are converting NFA into DFA, what happened? The number of states are drastically increased. Okay, it has to identify each and every possibility, a possible state or non-possible states. We need to identify the number of steps required to minimize the DFA. Okay, minimization of DFA means reducing the number of states from the given finite automata So thus we are having this, say for example, finite state machine with redundant states, after minimization of the final set of statements. You are following maybe certain steps. What are the algorithm? What are the steps required in minimizing the DFA? Remove all the states which are unreachable from the initial state. Remove all states that are unreachable from the initial state. Okay. So if you can't reach any particular state from the initial state via any set of transitions, okay, remove such states. Okay. What is the step number one? Identify the states which can't reachable from initial states. Okay, right. Then step number two, draw the transition table for all pairs of states. We know what is the meaning of transition table. A transition table is nothing but a table which is identifying a set of states and a set of states that can be reachable based on all possible inputs. Set of states that can be reachable from all possible inputs. That is called as transition table. Now split the transition table into two tables, T1 and T2. T1 contains all final states and T2 contains non-final states. T1 contains all final states and T2 contains all non-final states. Okay. So for example, here find similar rows from the T1 such that, okay, transition Q comma A is equal to P, R comma A is equal to P. What it means? Whether we are giving the from Q or R, we are reaching the same output. That means find the two states which have the same value of A and B, all possible inputs. Okay, all possible inputs, and remove one of them. If any particular state, two states, are giving the same inputs, it is going to the same outputs, then we can remove one of the two states. And what it means? From Q1 and Q2 on inputs, it is going to the Q3 only. On A, it is going to the Q3. On B, it is going to Q4, say for example. From Q2 also, on A, it is going to Q3. On B, it is going to the Q4. Then we can remove one of the Q1 or Q2 state because both are identical states. We can remove. Previously, what we removed? You removed the states which are not reachable. Previously, we removed states which are not reachable. And now, what are the states you are removing? If two states are identical, remove one state. Okay, right there. So remove the step number 3 until we find no similar rows available in the transition table T1. Repeat the step number 3 until we found no more rows identified for the table T1. Okay, that means there is no identical tables now. We can stop there. Repeat the steps 3 and 4 once again for the table number T2 also. For the states, for the final states and non-final state, we are repeating the above thing simply. Okay. Now combine the once again reduce T1 and T2 states. The combined transition table is the transition table of DFA. Okay. What we are doing in the minimizing the DFA, simply for simplicity we are reducing it to transition table for the final involving the final states, transition table for involving the non-final states. Okay, and identifying the identical states, and removing every time whenever you found any identical states, we are removing one state. Okay, right. So say for example, once this is the DFA diagram where it is involving so many tables based on this particular transition tables. Okay, the transition table for initially the DFA Q2 and Q4 are unreachable. Okay, Q2 and Q4 are unreachable. because from the Q1 we are directly moving to the Q3. From Q3 there is no way to go for the Q4. We are going to the Q5 only. Similar from the up to this we are reaching the Q1. You can't go to the Q2. Okay, so the Q2 and Q4 unreachable states. Straight away we can remove these two states from our DFA. Okay, straight away we can remove these two states from the DFA. Right. Now from the remaining, after removing the Q2 and Q4, whatever the available states, we divided into states with final states and non-final states as the step number 3. Okay, then step number 1 has no similar rows, as set 1 will be the same, but in the set number 2 we identified two similar states. Okay, from the two similar states. Okay, that means Q3 and Q5 are having the same outputs or same inputs. We are removing one of these two states. Okay, so we removed the Q5. So we removed the Q5. After removing the Q5, we got this particular state. Then what we did finally, we combined set number 1 and set number 2. This is the minimized transition state. This is the minimized states. Based on this transition diagram table, we got minimized DFA for this particular one. Minimize the diagram as this one. Okay, this is the answer for the question number 3. Right.